Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. Well, that weigh-in threw up a few surprises there, the biggest being Deontay Wilder weighing in at 212 pounds, and this is something we're going to get to. That's the second lightest of his career. Also in this video, we'll talk about Fury's weight, final thoughts on the Wilder and Fury fight. Obviously, there are a couple of interesting things at that weigh-in, but also we've got the undercard heavyweight fights with Joe Joyce facing Joe Hanks and Luis Ortiz facing Travis Kaufman. Got the weights for that and a final few thoughts, because those guys, potentially there could be a collision in their future, but they need to look good in these fights against guys who they are expected to beat handily. But we're going to get to Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder first. So 212 pounds, certainly that was a little bit of a surprise. Last time out against Luis Ortiz, Deontay Wilder weighed in at just over 214 pounds. And that, at the time, it was, one of the lighter weights of his career, and the lightest for some time. But it was about 5 pounds less than some of the weights that he'd been weighing at more recently, around the 220, 222 pound mark. But it was sort of explained away at the time that Deontay Wilder had an illness in camp, he'd had the flu and such, and that he hadn't been able to train as he would have liked to. So it led to some weight loss and that sort of stuff. But 212 pounds, and there's been a lot of scrutiny on this camp. That tells me that actually it's a deliberate move. They've decided to come in as light as possible. They want to move with Tyson Fury because they know he will be moving all night. And perhaps it's also a reflection that they don't respect Tyson Fury's power. Earlier in his career, Deontay Wilder had been bulking up to be able to take the rigors of the heavyweight division. When he turned pro, obviously very lanky, 6'7", spindly, they said, we need to put some weight on this guy. And over time they did. And his career high weight is 229 pounds. But when you're talking about a guy like Wilder, who's already a sort of a slight figure anyway, for him, that was actually quite a bit of weight on him because his frame naturally doesn't carry that much. He was obviously more of a natural cruiserweight sort of build, but obviously at 6'7", he was going to make a good heavyweight if they could bring him along the right way, which they have over time. But they had built him up. 229 pounds was his career high against Molina, and before that, or after that I should say, he was 228 a couple of times versus Johan Dorper and Artis Bilka. But since then, he's been coming down. 226 versus Areola. For Washington, Stavern, 220, 222 respectively, and then obviously 214. So he's bulked up, but obviously he's decided, with all the success that he's having in the division, that actually he doesn't need to carry this extra weight, that without it, he is still doing fine. And I know there have been some who will question, why did he need to bulk up so much in the first place? And others have suggested that potentially he might have been using substances to get himself there. But I think it was a calculated decision that he's decided to come down because he's decided he doesn't need to be as high as that because he's got the equalizer, the right hand, which has been getting him out of binds at times during his career. Obviously, we've seen it time and time again. But 212 certainly tells me that he is ready for Tyson Fury. He's ready to go 12. He's ready to move all night, ready to move with Fury. And we'll have to say, potentially it could still be quite low volume in the early going against Tyson Fury. And Fury weighed in at 256.5 pounds. And actually, Fury coming into this fight, when it was announced, and he did the press tour, all that sort of stuff, he said, look, I don't need to lose weight. He weighed 258 for Francesco Pianetta. And he said, this camp isn't about weight loss. I just need to work on my conditioning. I need to work on my skills, my fitness, that sort of stuff. And it wasn't about weight loss. And he said he didn't think he would be coming in much lighter, that he thought it would be about the same. And so it's proved to be. 256.5 pounds. I think, maybe a little lighter, a lot of people will be harking back to the Klitschko fight going, 247, that was a good weight for him. But Fury, 3 years removed from that, obviously a couple of years out of the ring, still coming back. Maybe 256.5 is going to be a good weight for him. Time's going to tell on that front. But, he looked a little soft around the middle, but given where he's come from, given where he's been, I actually think that's not a bad weight. and he looked in slightly better condition than the Pianeta weigh-in. And I guess, obviously that's what they've been working towards. It's not so much about the, aesthetic of how he looks, but it's about how he performs. And from what Ben Davison, his trainer, is saying is that Fury is actually performing really well. The altitude training has helped, and they've been sharpening their tools for this fight for Deontay Wilder. So, yeah, the actual face-off was quite interesting as well, because Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder did not come face-to-face. They were facing each other, but from a distance of a couple of meters, and that must have been decided before the weigh-in, that actually, given some of the scenes from the most recent press conference face-to-face, and obviously there was the press tour final event face-to-face where, sort of some ugly scenes sort of developed, which I think was, in part designed to help generate some interest for the fight. They've decided to keep them at distance, but Wilder, his demeanor, with the mask on, he's in full bronze bomber mode. He looked dialed in. I was thinking, man, this is, this guy, he's looking intense. He sort of came out, had a look at the crowd. He was looking at Fury. He wasn't biting. He looked focused and dialed in, and I thought, he is ready. He's ready for this fight. He seems to be channeling the emotion the right way, because there's been a question, Deontay Wilder, very emotional character. He's been saying a few emotional sort of things in recent days and weeks, and a few strange comments as well, but he looked all business at the weigh-in, and that was a very cool mask that he was wearing. But Tyson Fury was jumping up and down, pointing, trying to get Wilder to bite, but he wouldn't. And that was a very good sign for me that Deontay Wilder is heading into this fight, and he's able to cap the emotion. He's able to potentially use it in the fight, and we'll have to see. I mean, Deontay Wilder is kind of, if you have him, in some respects, other fighters, emotion, it can go the other way with them, and it can be their downfall. But someone like Deontay Wilder, it can almost go the other way, that it could actually be a benefit for him. But it's not like it's actually been too nasty, this whole event, in terms of the build-up. There's been a few barbs and things that, a bit on the nose about what both have said. But overall, it hasn't sort of been the bitterness that other fights, certainly for big rivalries, that we've seen in the past. But I actually thought, so 256 for Tyson Fury, not a bad weight. 212 pounds for Deontay Wilder. 3 stone less than Tyson Fury. A little surprising, but it is what it is, and clearly he is ready to go 12 rounds with Tyson Fury at a good clip if he has to. He's going to move with Tyson Fury, I would expect. Could be low volume early on, and I can't wait for this fight. I can't wait for this fight. How about you? I am getting so amped for this fight now. Okay, so if we go to the other couple of weigh-ins, so we had Joe Joyce weighing in at 262 pounds. That is a near career high, and bear in mind he's only had 6 fights so far. This is his 7th. His career highest was 263 pounds. That was against Iago Kaladze, and that was in September. And you got to say, actually, looking at Joyce, he looks in very good condition for 260 pounds. Some of the fighters, they carry the weight and they don't look so good, but Joyce looks in pretty good shape. So maybe he has actually stacked on a bit more muscle, throughout 2018 or something, because it doesn't look like he's carrying any more fat. But in terms of this fight, Joe Joyce, he needs to look good in this, because it effectively is a showcase sort of fight. Joe Hanks, he really is an opponent that Joyce should beat, and beat handily. And, for the level of opposition that Joyce has faced, Hanks is at a decent level. I mean, I know it's not the sort of fight that we want to see Joyce in, because, he's got grand designs on making a splash in the heavyweight division. But it is what it is. They couldn't obviously get Gerald Washington to fight him for this event. He'll be facing Adam Kanowski in January. But Joe Hanks is serviceable enough, but Joe Joyce has got to make a statement here and really sort of come through this, try to knock him out in, under half a dozen rounds. Even better if it was even less. So I think Joe Joyce, if he does make a statement, sets himself up for a big 2019. And his manager and Joyce, they are saying, look, we want to face guys like Adam Kanowski, we want to face guys like Gerald Washington, and also Luis Ortiz, who's on this card. And Joyce's manager, Sam Jones, has said, look, this Ortiz fight, it can happen. We want this fight to happen. And certainly that is a bold and ballsy move for a guy that's got under 10 fights to be calling out one of the most dangerous guys in the division. And actually, I think it would be a pretty decent fight. And in terms of Luis Ortiz and Travis Kaufman, Luis Ortiz at 241 pounds looked in decent condition, very similar to the condition and weight for the Deontay Wilder fight back in March of this year, earlier in 2018. Travis Kaufman, 229, looked a little soft around the middle. Travis Kaufman is a tough man. He's a tough guy. He can take some punishment, but you'd expect, Luis Ortiz should be able to sort of batter him in this fight. And it wouldn't surprise me if it went the distance, but it was a one-sided beating. In terms of the expectations of Ortiz, you want to see him take care of Kaufman, take it into 2019. It'd be good to see him in a big fight. And Luis Ortiz should win this. Joe Joyce should win this fight. So Luis Ortiz, 241 pounds. Joe Joyce, 262 pounds. Deontay Wilder, 212 pounds. Tyson Fury, 256.5 pounds. Some surprises there, and obviously I think we're going to get some entertainment. And let's hope that the styles really gel well for this main fight, because it is one of the biggest events of the year for the sport. It's a showcase for the sport. I hope people do show out for this event, and tickets have been starting to shift. It's not a sellout yet, but it could go close in the end. But let's hope that it is a great event, because some more eyes will be on the sport this weekend, because this is a very big event for boxing. I hope you've got yourself sorted out for where you're going to watch it, how you're going to watch it, and I hope you enjoy it, because I'm certainly looking forward to it. What do you make of it all? What did you make of Deontay Wilder's weight, the second lowest of his entire career, the second lowest since his pro debut in 2008? Tyson Fury, a 3-stone weight advantage. Can he maximize that? And Joe Joyce, coming in near a career heaviest weight, still looks in shape. And Luis Ortiz, 241 pounds. That's about where he generally weighs in. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.